gotta put the time in. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB. Be yourself, see yourself. This is a show by people. Billies our hopes are to needless reason. Nobody feel left out is the vibe we dealing. Let's find a solution. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love, respect, unselfishness and cooperation. That's how we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes. WB. And all the things that must be happen like I got blue sky. We make people get victimized. Let's work together for better. We got to unite. Billies, yeah. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Another day is here. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. We gotta keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB. Get up, make every day count. Don't waste it, people. Do your part, play a role, get where you need to. You can tune in from work or in your vehicle. If you got a problem, pick up the phone. Why wait? It's a time calling. It's a show with no matter even if you're at home. Just call in. WB. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Another day is here. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. We gotta keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB. Be yourself, see yourself. This is a show my people. Billies our hopes are to needless reason. Nobody feel left out is the vibe we dealing. Let's find a solution. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love, respect, unselfishness and cooperation. That's how we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes. WB. And all the things that must be happen and I got blue skies. And nothing make people get victimized. Let's work together for better. We got to unite. Billies, yeah. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Another day is here. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. We gotta keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB.
Good morning, Belize. Welcome to the WB Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes, Monday, the 3rd of March, 2025. We hope that your Monday morning is getting off to a beautiful start, and a beautiful start means that your health is excellent, your energy is full, your vibration is positive, and of course, that your morning is not so busy that you can't be around. Stick with me and hopefully jump in, participate. Belize's premier morning conversation is now on Creme Radio and XTV, and we welcome you all, whether listening or watching Whether you're getting us on our apps or social media streams or simulcast coverage, it's just great. I'm Mose Hyde, hosting today, and we've got the usual conversation lined up for you, but you know how it works. We've got your warm-ups, which means we get you up to date with a little bit of news. Before the news, we've got the weather forecast from the National Meteorological Service. Forecaster this morning, Crystal Rosales, tells us what kind of weather we can expect today.
Fair and dry conditions continue over the country. In the 24-hour forecast, skies will be mostly sunny today and then clear to partly cloudy tonight. Little or no rain is expected. High temperatures for today will reach around 85 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 90 degrees Fahrenheit inland, and then 70 degrees Fahrenheit in the mountains. Low temperatures for tonight will reach around 76 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 68 degrees Fahrenheit inland, and then 64 degrees Fahrenheit in the hills. Winds over the open sea will be from the east to southeast at 5 to 15 knots, and then sea conditions will be slight, with low tides occurring around 6:11 this morning and at 7:11 tonight, high tides at 12:04 this afternoon, and then at 1:18 tomorrow morning. The moon will rise at 8:44 this morning and then set at 9:55 tonight, while sunrise is at 6:09 this morning and sunset at 5:59 this evening. And in the extended forecast, similar weather conditions are expected to continue for Tuesday and Tuesday night. Then in the fire risk forecast, the risk for forest or brush fires will be low. And now for the sargassum update. Latest satellite imagery and surface observations continue to show sargassum increasing over our area. Moderate impacts are expected for the next few days. And this has been this morning's weather report from the National Meteorological Service.
The first private radio in Belize since 1989. FM presents the news. Informative, accurate, current information, local, regional, and international news, weather and sports. And now, the news.
And now some morning news. Media in Chetumal and Quintana Roo on Saturday reported the discovery after 3 a.m. of 5 bodies that were discarded at a bus stop in the community of Sakchan near the banks of the Rio Hondo in Quintana Roo. The community of just over 1,000 inhabitants is about an hour's drive from Bacalar. The bodies showed signs of torture, were blindfolded, their hands and feet were bound, and they had gunshots to the head. Also found at the scene was a male survivor who reported having been kidnapped on Wednesday. A message in Spanish on a cardboard left on top of one of the bodies was directed to the members of a criminal gang. The Commissioner of Police, Chester Williams, has since confirmed to Creme News XTV that Belize police believe 2 of the 5 men found dead in Chetumal are Belizeans. They were wanted by the Belize Police Department. Notably, 4 homes were torched overnight in the same Sakchan community, and Mexican authorities are said to be working to determine if the killings and the house fires are related. Boston 25 News reported on Saturday that the Massachusetts Chief Medical Examiner's Office is expected to conduct autopsies on the bodies of the 3 U.S. nationals of Moroccan descent who were found dead in a Belize resort on Umbergis Key on February 22nd. Commissioner of Police Chester Williams told Creme News XTV he is unsure of the date for the second autopsies, but said he is aware that is the intent. Forensic authorities in Belize determined that 3 women died from acute pulmonary edema, which means there was excess water in the lungs. However, what caused it has not yet been determined. Toxicology results are pending. The mayor of the city of Revere, Patrick M. Keefe, Jr., has said they will exhaust all avenues, both domestic and foreign, to ensure proper and fair analysis of this case. A policeman was assaulted in Danguiga with a pint bottle. Surveillance footage now circulating on social media shows how the incident unfolded on the veranda of Chill and Ice Bar. The officer is seen standing in between 2 men who seem to be back and forth with him When one of the men says the officer should be hit with a pint, the other man puts that into motion. At the precise moment, the officer had taken out his phone and was looking down. However, because the assault happened at close range, he reacted quickly enough to put up his hands to avoid being hit to the head. The man then walks off and is followed by the police. He was arrested and charged and was given bail upon arraignment. The Justice for Humans project, whose managing partner is attorney Michelle Trapp, has written the Belize Bar Association to ask for support in its advocacy for the state to allow eligible inmates to vote. Those will be inmates serving a sentence of no more than 12 months and all persons on remand. The Election and Boundaries Commission has said it is reviewing the request. Guyana on Saturday reported an incursion of Venezuela military in its territorial waters, where their vessels interacted with one of the floating production, storage, and offloading platforms in Guyana's maritime territory. CARICOM subsequently called on Venezuela to order the urgent removal of the vessel from Guyana's waters and further to refrain from engaging with the FPSO platforms, as has been reported. It added in a statement issued later in the day, what is required now more than ever is patience, calm, and non-provocation on both sides. As was contemplated in the Argyll Declaration, a resolution of this controversy remains entirely possible without any acts of provocation or aggression. The regional body then reiterated its unequivocal and unwavering support for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Guyana. Venezuela was swift to respond to the accusation from Guyana's president, affirming in a statement, Venezuela categorically repudiates the unsubstantiated statements of the president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Irfan Ali, who blatantly lies in asserting that units of the Bolivarian Navy of Venezuela are violating the maritime territory of Guyana. It then affirmed that those waters belong to Venezuela. In the statement, Venezuela went on to refer to President Ali as the Caribbean Zelensky, whose statements are fraught with inaccuracies, falsehoods, and contradictions in his desire to disrupt peace and tranquility in our region by sowing the seeds of a dangerous conflict. That's the end of our morning news. We'll take ourselves a break, and when we come back on the other side, we're going to open up for a conversation inside the WB Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. You're listening to Creme Radio, watching XTV. We'll be right back.
The first private radio in Belize since 1989. The news.
All right, welcome back to the WB Wake Up Believes Morning Vibes. Mose Hyde in the house with you on this Monday morning to start off the conversation called WB Wake Up Believes Morning Vibes. And of course, our conversation requires more than one person, and you won't find another one looking behind his desk. The other one is you. That's how it works, and so we invite you to jump in. The telephone number for you to call in is 280-5848. That's the direct line for you to participate in the conversation, and we want to get you on board, hear your thoughts. So, looking at just a couple of things very quickly here. The very recent change, which we didn't have a lot of time when we were here on Wednesday morning, which is the last morning of the week that I host the show, when we got the information, actually it was sent to us by a former Minister of Foreign Affairs, that the U.S. administration has, via its Secretary of State, Senator Marco Rubio, had put out a release where essentially they were tightening up their pressure on Cuba, and specifically dealing with the medical, at least this practice, this tradition of sharing its medical expertise and personnel with nations, especially in the Caribbean and in Latin America. I remember famously, I believe that at that time, President Castro was still alive when Hurricane Katrina had struck in New Orleans, and the Cubans had offered their medical personnel to the United States. As Belize is very aware, anybody that knows that we have benefited from the sharing of this medical expertise at critical moments. We know that our shortfall in nurses, we are very familiar that we do have Cuban nurses who have been here and doctors. We remember specifically that we were supported in the pandemic by a delegation coming from Cuba. And the same is true for most countries in the Caribbean. Essentially, though, what this new policy or the strengthening or the revising of this policy has now put is that it now regards this to be something that is illegal, and essentially that it's that this is a forced practice, and that this is what is stated in this release that came out last week, and that there would be sanctions against those in the Cuban regime that are participating in this. But they also added on to that those who participate in it, the various countries, those government officials who are involved with this will be held accountable, and one of the ways that it proposes for that to be done is that their visas and so on will be taken away. And so we know how much people who are able to get a visa love having a visa to the empire, to the mighty US of A. And so they know, especially with leaders, they love travel and go that foreign or thing when they love, and being told that that visa will be taken away would definitely be an unpleasant thing for leaders of the region. So they're being threatened, and that they're being threatened, and the thing about that is that the availability of the medical personnel coming from Cuba is what is at stake. And so last week we thought, well, we would hear something. Somebody would say something, well, what we stand or what our position is. And so we heard a little bit out of CARICOM over the weekend. It's been a little rumblings. We are told via, at least I saw it via Jamaican newspapers, that there has been a meeting of foreign affairs leaders of the region, and where they're kind of scrambling to respond to this situation. And in fact, what one article described was that there would be, there has been a request from the region to the US for there to be a meeting to discuss this situation, citing the fact that the region benefits from and really depends on being able to get this support from the nation of Cuba. And we also, I read a couple articles from leaders of the region who are advocating that there needs to be CARICOM unity and all of this. That would all sound nice if we were not just coming out of a CARICOM heads of state meeting, I think less than a week. I think that happened over the past weekend. And so the fact that there's now a kind of a call that the CARICOM needs to be able to now forge a voice, to build unity, to look at what is going on insofar as the new flavor in Washington and the corresponding turbulence that has come out of the Washington flavor under President Donald Trump. So we are kind of caught, it seems, responding rather than being proactive. That's what it appears on the surface. I don't know what, again, we have not been told all that was discussed when the heads of state or when they had the CARICOM meeting. We don't know. And in fact, what we know is that Belize only participated virtually. And again, unfortunately, as is the case, these are not things where you get a release and you are kept updated. These things don't happen. It's just, okay, this is not for us. It's not for, this is only for the adults. And so, quote unquote. And so we don't really know, but just based on what has been provided and based on the reactions to this decision by the US, it seems as if though we're kind of like trailing the play, like we're a bit behind, but there's still some rumblings. But as is the norm in Belize, and the fact that we are having elections doesn't in any way prevent the administration from having something to say. Doesn't at all. The administration, the leadership in Belmopan, while the House has been suspended, they are still functioning as the government of Belize right up until election day. So we still have a government functioning, we just don't have, the House has been suspended. So yes, we understand that the priority of those who are elected is about their campaigns and all of that, but the fact is that the country is still under their management. And these matters are still of significant concern. We've been saying here on this show that there needs to be a significant level of alertness and attention. The fact that you have an election doesn't prevent you, or you cannot use that as an excuse and You cannot pretend as if though, well, you know, I got a bigger fish for fry. We were actually told that that is the reason why Belize did not represent at the CARICOM meeting in person. Because, well, no leader really wants to be off the ground in the midst of an election. So we know that there is this feeling that the election is an excuse for why you might not exactly be at your highest level of alertness. You're distracted. You have to deal with your election. Unfortunately, you know, not unfortunately, let me go there. You know, in boxing, they say, defend yourself at all times. Anybody who's a boxing fan, you know that that's one of the final instructions given by the referee to the combatants. Defend yourself at all times. Meaning, once the action has started, once the bell has been rung, you are obligated to, you know, you can't say, well, guess what, give me a lead time out. You can, in boxing, you can call for a timeout, but the message is that you're responsible for your well-being. You have to protect yourself. Nobody gives you a timeout on planet Earth. There's no timeout. You have to remain vigilant and focused, but we have a call. Krem, good morning, WB.
Good morning, Mose. This is Hyde. So, well, a quick comment on that. Is it possible that they are now caught, our government is now caught between a rock and a hard place, trying to figure out whether they should continue going it with CARICOM or head on the Latin American route? As regards their, in connection with their response, because the Latin American route has its own particular dimensions, and maybe that's what it is. But it's something on a wider scale I'm calling in, and that is all connected to this matter I'm calling about. As you know, I don't vote, and I've been very vocal about that over the last, well, since I started calling the radio in 2001. But long before that, when I teach and so my students know that. It's not that I'm not interested in having a properly run electoral process and all of that, but I recognize that my people don't want a proper electoral process. They like it just as it is. It suits them, both the leaders and the led. And so I know too that maybe one day there will come a generation in Belize that will want something different, but it may not happen in my lifetime. But last week, two of my old students, one from Wesley College back in the 70s, and another student who I taught that person in the extramural program that University of West Indies used to have, again back in the 70s, contacted me. Both these students have remained my friends, like many of my students over the years. So I've known these two people maybe around 50 years, each of them or more really. So both of them, they were both males, so that puts them in their 60s thereabouts. And they both called about the present election scenario in Belize. I knew vaguely of it. I completed the book of it, but paying not too much attention, far more taken up with the external world. But both these people, I realized, were anxious. And I realized then that if they are anxious, there must be other people out there anxious too. The scenario was put to me about let me ask you something apart from this note. Let us say you have a ruling party in a country that it has winnability, it will win. If that party decides to feed, let's say the law says in that country that there are only going to be 20 divisions, or 21 divisions. And constituencies, in another country they may call it district, whatever they call it. In Belize we call it divisions, constituencies. So that party, there are two parties in this country, in the country I'm speaking about, the imaginary country. And one party has winnability. It is currently the ruling party, and it commands 75% of the seats. So it's going into elections strong. Let us say that party decides, well, without any grounding in the law, that it is going to field 35 candidates. Now remember, there's no law providing for this, but they decide they're going to field 35 candidates. And the other party, well, they can barely muster, so they are going to field 21 and maybe a little less. How would you classify the strength of the ruling party against the party that is, doesn't have the winnability of that word I'm making it up, winnability, to the ability to win. How would you classify the strength of that, the opposition party to the ruling party?
In
that scenario where the ruling party, with its winnability very high, ratio very high, has decided they will field 35 candidates.
35 candidates in
an election
with that only has how many?
21 divisions.
Has 21 divisions, and it can do 35. I mean, that would be, at least in my view, a significant increase in their advantage, it would seem.
Exactly, exactly, right? So they have arbitrarily taken over the capacity to win from the other party, right? Let us say you reverse it. You got this party in another country that was a second country. You got a party just like the first one with winnability. 21 seats again, because let me keep the numbers the same. But this time, the decision is made to allow the weaker party to field 35 candidates. How would you explain that situation there? The weaker party is going to field 35 candidates. The strong party will field 21. They have 75% winnability. But this other party is going to field 35. How do you analyze that their strength against the other party?
I think the reason why I would not see the same expansion of advantage would be related to your one of the elements of this environment, that one party has what we call the term you coined, winnability. So if winnability would represent the level of their how organized they are, the resources that they're marshalling, the momentum that they have, if they are able to get more candidates, I readily could answer that that's an advantage. I think if there's another party that having that number of candidates is based on what we call the unhealthiness of their organization, their ability to be cohesive, then having more candidates could be looked upon as a weakness in that regard. So
Exactly.
so I think it's not a it's really the other factors besides just the sheer numbers of it. In one instance,
Because what you're going to end up with is split votes for that party, right?
yeah.
Well,
I mean, you could be argued that split votes would take place in either equation. If you have more than one candidate for a particular party running in a constituency, you will still have split votes.
yes, but then the winning party will be able to claim, the strong party is the one that will be claiming the greater number of wins.
They would have the
Bearing in mind that they can only win 21.
yeah. They would
They can't win 35. They are fielding 35, but they can only win 21. The law states the maximum they can win is 21. Isn't that a travesty move? Isn't that a situation of utter illegality, unlawfulness, and all that comes with that? Just a travesty. Because you see, that was at the center. I had no idea that was transpiring.
Yeah.
None. I can truly say I've been paying no attention.
I spoke on
have irritated,
I spoke on the matter. I took a different my remarks were a bit different, not looking at the disadvantage to a particular political party or the travesty of that disadvantage to that party. What I commented on was that it is I'm trying to recall the specific adjective I used. Either way, that this was an unacceptable reality to have voters, no matter what party they have, no matter what we think about the politics, no matter what we think about democracy, the fact is that we are going to have an election day, and the voters in two constituencies will not have an opportunity to register, whether or not they were going to do so, and how
taking me to the next point.
and how those numbers go. It matters not. The fact that this cannot be anything less than ugly, that you have a situation that's going to happen on election day where the voters in two constituencies are not going to be participating or don't.
So that's a second travesty.
So that's
of magnitude, of great magnitude, right?
So that is what
Because I only thought it was, because normally when I put on the radio in the morning, I'm trying to catch the weather. The weather is my grand preoccupation. Just taken up with the weather because the weather is going to determine whether I can laundry down, whether I can shake my dusters outside, a whole lot of things. So I am taken up with weather. So it was that morning that I heard, I don't know if it's Club, I believe it was the Club, but I also listened to the Weather and Love Party one, where this gentleman was explaining, somebody, I don't know who the person is, was explaining why he had decided not to run in the election. And his explanation was finances. Now, Mose, that's where the travesty, the horror of it increases. For me, at least. Neither of the two persons who won, who have already been declared winners, because nobody registered to run in those two constituencies. I don't know them to be of the level of financial success of let's say, a Mr. Ashcroft, much less a Mr. Mose, right? So they both seem to be very hard-working gentlemen. So I assume that while they may be comfortably placed, it isn't because of grand inherited wealth and all of that. That's what I assume. So therefore, it's not their personal spending on the election. So it's the monies of the people and the constituency vote, because that constituency vote, to which I'm completely opposed, is a methodology, at least, you know that we now have a term for the American electoral process, that they practice legalized bribery. Have you heard that term in connection with the American electoral process, legalized bribery?
I want to recall you describing it. I've not heard it personally, but I've heard you refer to it as that.
They're using that term, and it's a term that immediately I heard it, I applied it to Belize, because we have a system that in many ways mirrors the American system, because we are both ex-slave societies. That's what we are. So now, in our situation here, we give all these constituencies, people, a little bit of money, and we don't know what they're doing with the money. To start with, we don't get an accounting. So we don't know how much light bill they're paying, how much water bill they're paying, how much telephone they're paying, how much rent they're paying. We don't know any of that. But what we know is those things happen. So the vote buying goes on long before election day. Long before. In reality, what we have, and I go to the French Revolution. In the French Revolution mode, there were two things that stand out for me from I was a young child, because I studied the French Revolution in school as a little girl. Now, I can't speak for other children, but with the school I attended, we had textbooks that were American textbooks. And the textbooks of that age, in the readers, there would be stories about the French Revolution and people in there, in the history. So I learned the French Revolution at a very young age. So I learned the slogan, liberty, equality, fraternity, at a young age, and came to understand it. Maybe not as I did as an adult. Now, when one of the things that provoked anger in those rebels was the great chateaus with their cache of land documents for people's little plot of land through debt, because they owed, and they put pressure on the poor to pay those debts. So the French peasant was an eternally indebted person. Another thing was the land titles. They burned all registers of land titles because of this pain. So in Belize and in the Caribbean, where this is being practiced, and wherever it's being practiced in Africa or Latin America, when you pay somebody, every month you pay their light bill, their water bill, their house bill, you are owning them. They are your slaves. They dare not step out of line, because the minute they step out of line, that will cease. They may even be dead. So they know this. So this man now said that, I don't know the man's name, I only heard the voice, said that he didn't run because he doesn't have the money to go up against them. It's the money moves, the money. So doesn't that tell us the utter travesty of a system where a Belizean, another citizen can't run in an election because money is the determinant?
How do you then explain those instances when I completely understand the point you're making about the immense impact of campaign resources. But there are two things about that which I would have to put against a candidate saying that this is what led to their decision. The two main parties have always had this significant advantage, but the independents, even though they have this tremendous disadvantage, we have had independent candidates that have participated in the electoral process. But within
Yes,
the
we are.
within the two main party systems, we've had a situation that people found was, I guess, one of the biggest election day stunners ever, where we had a porter working at the airport defeat a candidate who controlled the purse of the next political party. So the fact that we've had, you would say we've had, I don't know, since independence, maybe three, let me see, you had 89, 93, 98, 2008, and 2020. These are all elections. These are all elections where incumbent parties in power lost. So even with the resources of the government, which is always utilized in our electoral processes, the vehicles, the fuel, everything is utilized, which makes an incumbent have an advantage, but they have lost. So the fact that a candidate, to be honest with you, with no disrespect to the candidate, that is not something that I could say I feel is the beginning and the end of what took place for this historical no-show on nomination day. There must be.
Well, I can't say that, but I have to go by what I've heard, right? What I've heard. And what I've heard is ugly. And while what you are trying, I think you're trying to say is that, but people have won despite this great inequity, you are depending on an uncertain set of variables for that to happen, right or wrong?
Yeah, there are other factors involved.
Yes. But you don't want a situation in a country where
So the question would be,
certain variables that will determine whether maybe we get equality, maybe we get what it will change,
completely, but there's also an expectation that you would come forward, and again, this is something that I have to question. If you've decided that this is the case, that you do not feel that you can match somebody's resources and the finances has now completely disenchanted you and you're out, but why would you not do it in a way to give the party that you're a participant, that you're a member of, an opportunity to ensure, at the very least, that the people in these constituencies that we are talking about would actually have a day where they can go and choose who they want to support. Why would you do it in a way?
Remember, Mose.
But why would you do it in such a way, though, Ms. Corey? That's not a burden. That's not a burden. If you're resigning, if you're stepping out, I feel that you are duty bound to give the organization that you're a part of an opportunity to have somebody put in your place so as not to have this. No,
I don't know anything.
They
didn't do this?
They didn't do that? They just didn't show up. So it's not that I am countering or going against what you have a right to put as the big elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is that the whole finances of politics, the way how money determines and influences, and the whole lack of transparency about it, that's a huge problem. All I'm saying, though, is that the individuals have a responsibility as well, and I cannot give them a free pass on that. I feel that the fact that this has happened for the very first time, like I have, it's like you've had candidates who who are honorable people in my view, who have not gotten a lot election day who have not gotten a lot of votes.
But you don't get Mose in 1983, 84. I can only speak from that perspective. When I was asked to participate in the municipal elections, well, I did not agree. I said I need to know what I'm getting into first. And of course, my first request was, where is the money coming from? Where is the money coming from for the leader of the party to resign his post as SJC, assume the leadership when you have told us there is no money? So where is the money coming from? So I can remember Derek Aikman receiving a card from an exceedingly wealthy Belizean with $2 in the card. You know, so it's like I've seen it all, and I find it utterly distasteful and want no part of that. Absolutely no part of it. However, I am calling to help because, as I said, these two persons who are in their 60s, I sense a deep anxiety in them.
So there was a total of 4, just because you said you didn't get the story, so there's a total of 4 candidates that didn't show up for nomination.
Oh, 4 didn't show up. That is even the
but you have, so, but those 2 of the 4 constituencies have independent candidates running in them. So even though you don't have a candidate from one of the mass parties has failed to put a candidate in that area, the electors in that constituency will have an election day because of those independent candidates. The other 2
But isn't that just a mirage of respectability?
The fact that it's still undesirable, but the reality is that to be denied, this is where I find it to be so ugly. Is that how do we have? I don't know how we have legislation that accommodates this. Then it's in the legislation that this is what is done, but I consider that to be appalling legislation, because essentially what happens is that the people are not given that day to choose. Whatever I think about
you have now raised the next point, that let's go to the legislation. The legislation does 2 things. It either prescribes the right thing that's to be done, and that's not being done, or it prescribes the wrong thing, and we are happy to go along with the wrong thing, right? What we are not prepared to do is to correct the electoral process at all, to produce a society that's free, that has liberty, that's egalitarian, that has equality, and that's unified, that has solidarity, fraternity, brotherhood, sister. We are not prepared to produce that, and that is the real purpose of the electoral process, to produce that. And here we are, because really my reason for calling in is to ask you, as a member of the media, has the media do they have an understanding that they are participating as promoters, as reporters of the most unlawful, illegal, illegitimate, immoral, unethical election we've ever had? Things are happening that have never happened before, but it could have been prophesied that we would come to this. Because if you don't clean up the house down the road, it's only a matter of time before the dirt is piled up, and when you come, you can't get out at all because everything takes over with dirt. That is what has happened to us. You don't see it that way.
Well, I would have to stand guilty of what you're saying, I would have to, if that is the charge, that by doing coverage of an election, that if that is then regarded as me propping up an illegal
Yeah, that's
process.
a good word. The best I've heard so far.
So I would
And why do I say no?
I would have to
see.
see.
With the situation in Dominica. Dominica went to the CCJ, you know, on electoral matters. And the CCJ, no less than Dennis, I think it was then being headed by Dennis Byron, ruled that the Dominica government, now this is where I'm not sure if the word is what is in the ruling or it is in the word that was used in referring to it. Or not to go to elections until all the problems had been rectified. So, but even if they use the word "or," we have a ruling that it isn't right and proper to go to elections with all these wrong things outstanding. Look at some of them both. 1983, Derek Gateman and I fought electoral matters. That was the registers. The registers have not been cleaned up. At least in 1983, we didn't have anybody registered on an empty plot with no house and crop hole. But you have that now. We didn't have, when we fought it in 83, we didn't have that. I cannot recall any incident where people were registered on an empty lot full of crop holes. Presumably they are living in crop holes because there is no home. We have such situations now. No, the traditional ones still exist. The dead and the non-existent and the ghosts and all of that. But added to that is an even bigger horror. How are you going to register people on a piece of land where there's no house there? How are you going to register people in a business address? Prem Radio. And you have 200 people registered at Prem Radio. They're living there. Where? On top of the roof? Under the basement? You see? So that's number one. So that one has not been corrected, Mose. Fast forward to between 2001 and 2003, when I took up the fight of the numbered ballot. I started that fight on my own. Along the way, Derek came in, but he wanted me to give up my fight. I didn't agree to that. So I did my own thing. The ballot papers still remain numbered with a numbered stub. So the stub isn't being used, as in Canada, the counterfoil is used to ID how many people have voted. But on the very ballot paper, there is no mark that makes my ballot unique as compared with your ballot. All the ballots look alike except for what you mark on the ballot paper. Nothing else there is no unique marking. So as long as you have a unique marking, in our case a unique number, your ballot is not secret. As you know, I have been arguing that for 20 odd years. Not wasting any time. I know that one day, maybe 100 years, somebody will have to resolve that. But that's a fact. Fast forward then to the job of numbered ballot paper. Fast forward to what's the name, the peace movement, fighting for redivisioning. Stated in the law. Now remember, the Constitution states that the election is going to be secret, your ballot is secret, but it's not secret in fact. It's not secret because it's a number that's allowed by you all, the law allows the number, change the law. So now, the company redivisioning, more, that is totally not complied with. Worse, it is what has added to the mess now. The redivisioning. But we are sailing merrily along to election as though that problem, laughing at the people, because they are really mocking the people who are fighting for that, right or wrong. You're mocking them. So, and then they do their own thing, going right along. No, you think that's bad? We come along now, and they are going to constitute what I can only call a kangaroo tribunal to assess the death owed to the, well, I think the tribunal for the civil, but that's what Mr. Lizaraga spoke about the other day. But to be honest, Mr. Lizaraga, right in your studio room, refused the situation of black people in this country. Refused to accept it. Numerous times he didn't accept it. He gave all kind of excuse, brush it off. So as though that were not bad enough, he is going to be on the same committee appointed by the government, this tribunal. What is that? That is vote by at a maximum level. Legalized by law. That's the fourth. Then you come along now. Here now you have a situation where, as I said, what we were told. So then the last one I thought all of that not bad enough. You have the authorities allowing one party to feel, I am told, I don't know if I'm right, 41 candidates because they are quite, man, you are fueling the site. You authorities are fueling the mess. Isn't that the height of unethical, immoral, unlawful, illegal behavior? I can't, so now I have named you, I think it's 6 or 7, some of those didn't exist before. We've never seen that before. We have never seen that before. Suddenly we are seeing, and our people, like sheep, are being led to the slaughter. Come along, and they are good. Don't understand, and that is what is being taken advantage of. So that is why I call him Mose. Right. For me, I'm not making any word for that. But I said that I owed my 2 boys, they were once my students, and they always consult with me. So I know that they came because they trusted that, because when he said it to me, I said, but that is illegal. I didn't know any. I said, but that is illegal. The Constitution prescribes 31 divisions, the maximum amount, and 28 the minimum amount of divisions. And so if you are going to allow a party to have more candidates than the amount of divisions, then I have to examine what are the consequences of that decision. And the consequences of that decision are not good at all. And then, because of giving thought to it, I then gave thought to following it, promoting it. The politicians, the commission of election people, the election all of that, plus, not to mention the mess that exists because of the parties themselves. Then now don't know, maybe the media is examining it, but I didn't get the feeling, I did not have the understanding the media was examining it. Hence my position that it is unlawful, it is not compliant with the law, but the law itself is unlawful. It is not in compliance with the UN Convention on Civil and Political Rights. Everything is just pretty unlawful move. And then as a consequence, it becomes illegal, then it becomes illegitimate, then it is also immoral and unethical, because while it may not be breaking a law, him and the death will undo. So that is my reason for calling him. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Ms. Corey. It's 7:38 inside the WB. We will take a break for 2 cents calm, sponsored by 4 Point Security, and then we take our first break of the morning. We'll be right back with more Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes.
You're watching WB, and this is XTV, and big respect to our sponsors, 4 Point Security. All right, the 2 cent question of the day is going around to the schools to find out if it's important or mandatory for them to rub down the students' their bag on a daily basis. Let's go find out the principal 2 cents and the students' 2 cents, how they feel about it. All right, and they rub down your bag. You feel that way about that? Why? Tell me why.
Because They feel like you are bringing gun a thing, knife or thing in your bag, but nothing like that, not coming in your bag.
But you don't think that part of your safety?
Yeah, part of my
A
safety.
part of the school, the safety at the school?
Yeah, because every school do that.
All right. That you're too saying. Good. And then search your school bag.
Sure, a normal thing, sure. I don't use it. So I don't really feel no way.
Because you think you have to own safety, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now you're 2 cents.
Yes, sir.
All right. You know that they have to search your school bag every day when you go to school?
Well, I don't feel no way, right? Because they make sure how nobody no bring like no like weapons or thing in the school compound where could harm us, right? Cause we not go to school for like fight and we go to school for learn. And how people don't say who say the version of a bad school or thing. That's why they do the bad search we prove how they say the version don't know about that we just call learn.
Yes, all right. Good one. As a student, how you feel to know that they rub down your bag on a daily basis?
I mean, it's a good thing that St. Vernon is doing because it keeps everyone safe because we don't want anyone to get harmed. So it's a good thing.
That your 2 cents?
Yes.
As a student, how you feel to know you come to school every day and they rub down your school bag like on a daily basis, a weekly basis, or monthly basis?
Well, sir, to be honest, feel no way because like I know that like it protect me and it protect my fellow classmate and other individual upon the compound. Like for instance, like say like what like someone in the student there decide to like bring something where will harm we, I like safe because I know that not happen because it get prevented.
Yeah.
So I don't feel no way about it. That was a good thing to be honest.
All right. That your 2 cents?
That's my 2 cents.
Perfect. You wear the monitor, right? If you think you're mandatory for rub down your what we call rub down, but if you think you're mandatory for search your student backpack on a daily basis or monthly basis or weekly basis, you as a principal, right? What are your 2 cents on that?
Well, morning break.
Morning.
My job or one of my roles here is to maintain safety or try to ensure safety for my students and my staff. So one of the things that we do on a daily basis is to do our bag search right at the gate before they enter the school compound. Why we do that? Because although we tell them to be responsible and don't bring things that they should not bring to school, some of them still try to bring it.
Okay.
And it's all in the name of safety.
Yeah, all right. Now your 2 cents.
That's my 2 cents.
All right.
All right, welcome back to the WB Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes on this Monday morning, the 3rd of March 2025, where we invite your participation. Of course, it's a conversation, and the number for you to call is 280-5848. That's the direct line for you to participate in the conversation. We do love when you call in and express your views. That's what we do here on weekday mornings, both on Creme Radio and on XTV. Started out this morning just talking a little bit about but we have a call. Creme, good morning, WB.
Brother Mose, good morning, pleasant Monday.
Good morning, Sir Torres. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Man, it's good for listening because, my friend, in listening you breathe yourself. Enjoy your tea there. I have observed at 73. I could recall when I'm 8, 9, 6, traveling from San Ignacio to Belize again, but the bus, and later on November. I could recall all these things. I can't recall everything. But at the one situation, I am not bright like great Sandra Koye. But to me, it's done too late to enjoy CARICOM unity. I might be wrong, please. I might be wrong. That is my observation. Because I could recall from prior to 1981, yes, Salvador and Guatemala was intent to military take over Belize. But they may unfortunate, my friend. You know why? Because of the British military show of force. Then bring the arrow on a slip on and slide. Like what says suckers in that. Sorry. So, you think. And also before 1981, I did watch things, you know. I did watch things. The then local leadership, if I am correct, I
What,
can approve.
Sir Torres, before you go to that, you're saying that it's too late for us to be a part of CARICOM
We will.
unity. Is that what you're saying?
But the strength or the expectation of CARICOM, I don't think we could provide within Central America.
Are you aware, Mr. Torres, and it's one of the things I had on my list of topics for the morning, which I usually get through about 5 to 10% of them. You are aware that there was a territorial incursion by Venezuela into Guyanese waters, and that CARICOM has
Into Guyana?
Yes, into Guyana, and that CARICOM has issued a very strong statement. And well, beyond CARICOM, of course, the U.S., because of its relationship status with Venezuela, and because Exxon is now, the big boy in Guyana now, the boss in Guyana. So the U.S. has also condemned what has taken place. I raised that issue because I compare it to, well, no less than it's the president of Guyana who has gone on the record to condemn what was done by the Venezuelans. And then we have the Venezuelans compared.
I could recall.
So I'm saying here, well, that's what it looks like when there is a incursion of territory. This was in their exclusive economic zone. This was in their exclusive economic zone. This was not in their
inclusive.
Yeah, this was a part of this is not in the what is, you know how it go. You have your territorial waters, and then you have your exclusive economic zone. That is, this incursion took place in the exclusive economic zone.
International.
And still we have a huge uproar being made about it in CARICOM, which it should, and I believe it's based on the fact that the Guyanese have pressed the Ags, have gone down, have pressed the Ags, and have really reached out, and they have gotten back in return this kind of loud solidarity from CARICOM. Now we know that CARICOM has been in solidarity with us, we know that, but we have lamented the fact that we have consistently played down what is taking place in the South. Soon like we have played it down. A part of it is because the political directorate has been very displeased with the territorial volunteers and what they do, and so you know, I just wanted to put that on your radar, no? Because you said that you were speaking about CARICOM unity, and I just want you to know, well, CARICOM kind of raised the voice over the weekend. I mean, we have not heard them when it comes to our student situation, but you know, I guess because of oil, the situation in Guyana is a bit
economic.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I feel like with solid mentality, we will feel unity, but I not sense it at this time. I don't know, but yes, let me enjoy it. Yeah, let me say that to me, please, this is only me thinking. I might be wrong. Let me be corrected. But to me, beliefs began sinking to the bottom. You see, where it now economically stands. Yeah, right? We have lots of spending, but thanks to tourism, thanks because what we export, forget every called foreign exchange, the Yankee dollar. What we export, you see, but believe to me, please, with due respect to all, I'm not here to know. I deal with facts, economic reality, or whichever. You see, because to me, belief began thinking where it stands, you see.
I try to understand, Mr. Torres, I try, please tell me where this...
Central America, Brother Mose, Central America, Asia, and Africa. Take belief for bazaar. They call it one big straw.
Okay.
Yes, they call it one big straw. We stay there. Some. All we want to consume. Them dollar to accommodate, to ensure control. This is what they're doing right now. But again, it's not for Great Britain. There would be no belief. We would be like Cuba and Nicaragua, only for theirs, only for theirs. Like, with due respect, like the PUP, then we go all out. Where they get the money? How they get the money? I know saying corrupted, but I understand not only spending individually, but nationally. Then the horrid fix up streets, the restaurant areas, and they dump the garden material, and the front loader come and spread it, and it's very wavy. Man, anyway, what the hell? Anyway, thanks very much, man.
In all over the place, including saluting Britain for existence. All right, Brother Torres, thanks for your contribution. It's 2 minutes after 8 o'clock. This is the WB Wake Up Believes Morning Vibes on the Monday morning, 3rd of March, 2025. The telephone number 280-5848. This morning we started out finishing up a topic we raised last Wednesday when we were in the middle of a conversation with a brother out of the UK, Brother Gus John, a writer and activist. In the middle of that conversation, we got information that was shared that the Cuban policy of sharing its medical expertise is now on a level of, whether I say a punishment, they come along with utilizing that, in particular for officials who collaborate in any sharing of the Cuban medical missions. And so that has caused, especially countries in the Caribbean that have benefited from this, including Belize, to be very concerned. as I mentioned earlier, the punishment for this is going to be the denial of visas for those who are in leadership positions. So that's one of the topics that we covered this morning. And then we had a conversation with Ms. Cowie in specifically surrounding the whole issue of the unavailability of candidates from the opposition party in 4 constituencies, and also the anomaly of having 41 candidates, or I don't think it's 41, I forgot the number, that having more candidates than constituencies who are aligned essentially and claiming alliance to a party. And that, but more significant, at least what I have spoken about and what I have been on the record, is the issue of 2 constituencies which will not have an election day. So we spoke about that at length. Krem, good morning, WB.
Morning, Brother Mose.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. You know, the last time I talked to you, I think about sometime in November, you know. I was, just to refresh your mind, I was talking to you about how we always, we're killing each other all these thousands of years with no end in sight, you know. But what happened, I didn't call back because I was in hibernation. No, it's the resurrection.
All right,
you know.
I recall the call sent me down into a philosophical breakdown. But yeah, I recall your conversation.
Yes, anyway, like I was saying, it's the resurrection, so we're just calling, you know, because the Black History Month went by, and I really don't keep that right. I look at it and I normally keep Black History here, where if I have ongoing presentation, if possible, right? But I wanted to pass out let people know about the history of Black History Month. You know, Black History Month came it was in 1926 when an American brother by the name of Carter G. Woodson, you know, came to consciousness that one of the things that we don't do as enslaved people is to reflect on our past and history. So it was a great concept that the brother came with. And in 1926, it was only a week. The Black History observance was only for a week. I know it's extended to a month, but truly we don't need a Black History Month. We need Black History years. We'll have ongoing presentation until our minds are liberated from this mental slavery. You know, if you notice that we don't have very much contact with nobody talk about that. The guy was, you know what, February related to the guy, and he said, the year he said, what a February, I said, Black history, don't know anything about concept of Black history. Anyway, I like to throw in a little here and there, you know, where you say that, I let you know that, you know, they have Black history, Black popes. You know, we have Black popes, Pope Victor, you know, when we dip on the papal throne from 186 to 197, Pope Miltiades, 311 to 314. The last year was 429, 492 to 496. You see, we don't know anything about these things there. We also have like first martyrs, you know, for died for Christianity. Felicita, Perpetua, and Infano. And how we know that? Because that came from the Catholic record, I mean the church records in 19th of July, you know, 189, you know, they say that these 3 sisters, because of African sisters, all right, that was martyred for Jesus. The first one was in called from the, and why we know because upon the church records, and they said that this matter, these women was killed by the army of Septimus Severus. But we know that they're not true. You know, because Septimus Severus didn't mount the throne until 192, you know, and it took place in 189, you know. So, you know, when we look at this history, we really can't tell that you know, when we try to track it down, you know, we can't tell that pinpoint the date totally, you know, because truly with all lost and everything else. Also, I'd like to, you know, talk about color prejudice. You know, we have color prejudice in the Bible, you know, about the Hamper story. We have in the books of the Mormon, you know, and the only color prejudice where they could track down there, you know, where white people been hating us for what? We don't know, you know. I really believe that it's because that we so prominent every time we, you know, every time we look any place, we always find black at the foundations, everything. But white people been hating us for a very long time, you know. And for some reason, they like to express this hatred in the, seem like in the sacred books, man. For example, the first recorded instance of color prejudice was found in India 5,000 years ago, where white people called the Aryans invaded the Indus Valley and found black people there, you know, where these people called themselves Dacians. The same people who called themselves the Dravidians. And, you know, and the source of this ancient color prejudice come there from the Aryan sacred book, the Rig Veda, you know, book 9, verse 42, you know, where it says that their God Indra is shown blowing away the black skin that Indra hid from the earth and the heaven. You know, him 42 tells of the driving of the black skin out far away. The Aryans call the doctors anasa, which means noseless people, and that's coming again in book 5 and hymn 29, verse 10. You know, how their God slew the flat-nosed barbarians. You see, if we don't know nothing about our history, you know, I mean, at the Black Summit that the Biltmore was talking to Ranuka Rashidi, and I tell him how much I feel attached to the ancient Egyptians and how people look at that. We don't know anything about it, and people say that, why talk about it? Go back there with the, you know. He said that's the past. But Ranuka Rashidi tell me, he said, no man. He said, go far, always go as far back as you can, because the farther you go back, the more knowledge you're going to know by yourself. You know, because they say people say when you go back farther, you centralize yourself. The brother said, no. He said, when you go back, that's where you universalize yourself. And that makes a lot of sense, you know, because it's like your grandfather, I know your great-grandfather, you know, I know where he lived. If you know all this, then you could say, who built this house, who built, but if you don't know this, you could talk from ignorance or what somebody else say, you know. So, you know, I just want to touch on some of these things, you know.
All right, well, I have to go to break, my elder, so I give thanks to your contribution, and I'm glad you're doing it in March. Like yourself, I not to be cynical, but to have a month, Black History Month, is to kind of like make it into some kind of symbolic thing rather than, you know, I'm sure that a lot of legitimate work has been done, a lot of legitimate education has been done, but the reason why we don't know a lot, or what we need to know, is not because we didn't have a month. It's because we have not been nurtured in that consciousness in our upbringing, in our classrooms, in our homes. We don't need a month. We need a life. We need a way of living that
Yes,
promotes it. So I'm glad that you have struck that note in March. And that's not to take away anything away from the fact that March is viewed as Women's Month. Salute, 100. Give thanks to your caller, brother. I got to go to break. I'll be back.
All right, thank you, my brother.
Yes, ma'am. All right, welcome back to the WUB Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. It's 26 minutes after 8 o'clock on this Monday morning, 3rd of March 2025. The telephone number 280-5848. We invite your participation. It's what makes the wheels turn in this process. We are behind a bit on our ad break, but you know, we kind of had a little bit of a extension, first conversation. You know, reflecting on this reality, which again, I feel this is utterly ugly. It's the first time it has ever happened, where we have the results for election being determined before. And so the legislation essentially says, well, if nobody contests, we don't have to do an election, right? And that's, if you have I don't know, if it is regularly business, sports, whatever, and somebody go up for a position, nobody really run against them, they say, well, the person wins unopposed. So somebody could counter and say, well, that's the norm. If you're not opposed, why have the election day? Why have to go through that? And so the legislation, they say, we could go ahead and you announce the winner then and there. But the problem with that is whether the net impact is that there is no moment for the people of that constituency to say, well, no, we don't want it like this. There is no, the people were not aware until that very moment that there would not be somebody opposing. There's no light in between the reality that somebody is not running when the decision is made, okay, it's off. And you say, well, this is the best we can do. So we have, for example, one candidate who has said that they were not physically well. And of course, on social media, there are a bunch of people who don't believe the story or whatever. But whether you believe it or not, you do have situations where it is physically possible for somebody to, on their way to getting nominated, for them either because of some accident or something physical or something where, let's say, they don't reach the deadline. You say, well, what provisions are there within the legislation? To my mind, the legislation should be set in a way that every opportunity is given, and if you have extreme circumstances, whether because of, let's say, all the different reasons that potentially could happen, that you say, listen, a party can make an appeal. A party can say, listen, we would want to meet with the at least hear us out before you decide, well, this is over and done. The zero room for there to be any opportunity for extreme circumstances to be mitigated against, in my view, makes the legislation incomplete and wrong. Because while this has never happened before, it should never ever happen. It should never ever happen. Like, this is not like who think about, okay, that who some of the things we vote upon, like who want to be the captain of the team, or no, this is about who represents you. And if I think if you have election day, even if you have election day, you say, listen, we're going to have election day. There's nobody there, but the people will at least go out and say, all right, we are voting for this person. It just doesn't sit right with me. It's absolutely, in my view, ugly that come March 12th, barring an injunction from the court, come March 12th, the people of two constituencies are on the sidelines. It can't be that that's what you want your legislation to allow. If the legislation, now we understand you can't make people toy with it. If you have to have a nomination and you have to show up and you got one deadline. The fact is, again, we don't know, and all the rumors, make a difference. What we have to sit down and say, is it possible, even if you don't believe it, is it possible for there to be legitimate reasons why somebody don't make the nomination day and time? Is that a possibility? Are there legitimate things that can happen, sequence of events that results in that? The answer to that is yes. Is it unlikely? Are they unlikely? Yes. But can they happen? Absolutely. But there is no provision in the event that you have legitimate reasons. Now, you also have to think, I can't imagine that any party wants to be in a situation where they have a failure to be represented in a particular division. Now, this is not to say that there are not other reasons why somebody might get cold feet. Somebody might go and quarrel with their leader at the 11th hour, have a big spillover over all different kind of circumstances. That can happen. What provisions are there for a party to be able to respond to that? To say, listen, there has to be some provision in the legislation not to be misused. You have to reach a certain threshold of providing us legitimate, the facts provide as much evidence to show that this is a legitimate situation that has happened. So it's not like you could just arbitrarily say, oh, I couldn't show up 4 o'clock, I never. No, that's not to suggest that you don't have to meet a certain threshold of legitimacy and proof to back up that legitimacy, but there has to be an avenue. It's not that that avenue should be an easy avenue, should be just automatic, where I never feel like on a day, man, it may rain. No, nobody is suggesting that. But at the same time, this just seemed like so matter of fact, so nonchalant. Well, all right, cool. Well, nobody not there, so we just want to wrap this up one time. We don't have to deal with all that. We reduce the number of polling stations we have to worry about now. We don't have to set up. The police don't have to depend upon their areas. But the point is, though, is that the voters of these constituencies have been sidelined. They've been muted. Suppose nobody wanted to vote on that day, which is unlikely. We know that that's not going to happen. But that the possibility of that should exist and should not be eliminated beforehand. It seems like a small matter, but for me, any of you, no matter what party you believe in, what you think about politics, whether you vote or not, think about if you in that area, how you would feel in a constituency where your choice has been removed. No involvement on your part. There was not a bunch of people who came out to say, man, we don't want nobody going against this person. No, that didn't happen. There was a malfunction, obviously, whether it was health, as one candidate might say, or somebody deciding that, I didn't hear that particular explanation, but our caller, esteemed caller, Ms. Corey mentioned that she heard a candidate say they don't got the resources to go deal with that. So somebody decide, no, I don't like the odds because I don't got the money and I want out. Which can happen, you know, even if the candidates who are running right now, they could, you know, decide, yeah, what I ain't going out that day. But the fact is that those names are there. And I think that we cannot ignore the high level, how irregular this is, how something to be avoided at all costs, in my view, that you essentially have open and shut case before election day. That is absolutely anti-democratic. And again, this is not, as Ms. Corey's point, that there are not so many different aspects of our entire electoral process and our politics that are completely unhealthy and unpleasant and just completely disgusting. The reality that 2025, March 12th, you have a situation where we are only going to have an active election day for 29 rather than 31 constituencies is absolutely ugly in my view. We're going to go to break and come back.
In Belize, we value our families. We
All right, welcome back to the WB Wake Up Billy's Morning Vibes. Mose Hyde hosting on this Monday morning, 3rd of March 2025. Telephone number 280-5848. That's the direct line for you to participate in the conversation. Want to get you on board. And no matter if we've not done anything on the whole global level, but I just felt that most people who've watched the news, U.S. news, knows that there was this extraordinary moment in geopolitics where there was this full-out argument between heads of state on live camera, and the whole world has been responding to that. President Trump and President Zelensky and President Trump's vice president Vance had this huge shouting match and back and forth. I mean, playing out just get it on camera. And, been a lot coming out of that. People have all their views. What struck me was this is Mr. Zelensky, President Zelensky, on behalf of his people, was obviously very strong. He was very stood up. And for that, his country and his people are rallying around him. But it struck me that this is the kind of how many leaders in the past representing what they refer to as third world countries or countries of the South, when we have produced leaders that are equally strong and honest, who are, have that sense of character for even in the face of overwhelming odds to be true to their people. They're the kind of leaders in the third world, in Latin America, in Africa. They're the kind of leaders who were killed in history to push back on the powerful and their interests in the past has been a death warrant. Leaders who have stood up to empires, that's usually the wrong page you turn to. That's how you end up in big trouble. And that's what really occurred to me after watching what unfolded in the White House. And none of that pushback ever happened on camera. The pushback that has taken place, there are ways and means they take you out when you don't want to do the bidding of the empire. When the empire says jump, you need to jump. When the empire says say thank you loud, get on your knees, be a good little boy. And while he's in an incredibly tough situation, Mr. Zelensky refused to be that. Respect to him. He's being rallied around. I don't think that he's going to be easy to eliminate like that, but the history shows us that when leaders who have stood up from third world countries, even behind closed doors, not even in front of their face like that on camera, there are ways and means that they have utilized to take them out. I don't know how it's going to play out for Mr. Zelensky. We are going to take a final break of the morning, come back and wrap.
The Social Security Board, in collaboration with
All right, it's time for us to close the shop today. We thank you for being here. We hope you have a great Monday. Of course, with health and strength, we come back tomorrow morning at 6:30 for the Tuesday morning edition of the WB Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. We give thanks to the team, of course, at Creme Radio Larry G, at XTV, Mr. Cliff Lewis, our director, Alexi Belay. As for now, stand strong, stand firm. We're gone!
Wake up, Belize. 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 Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put the time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB. Be yourself, see yourself. This is a show by people. Belize our hopes for to needless reason. Nobody feel left out. It's the vibe we dealing. Let's find a solution. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No